Hey friends, how are you doing today? So I was reflecting back on my week and I thought, there's one thing that I do that helps me take prospects that are cold, warm them up, heat them up, and then get them to buy. And over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, I've made $500,000 online by using this funnel. And it's split into various sections, but primarily I've tested a lot of things. I've gone from like outbound to inbound, from content to cold emails. Like when I had my agency, it was primarily cold. But as soon as I built an audience on LinkedIn, obviously the numbers help. But since I've been ranking up the numbers, I've been getting 99% of my leads come through inbound without having to lift a finger. And having some lead that is warm to hot who just wants to buy from you doesn't happen in an instant, right? It's like cooking and letting them sizzle, and every little bit of content that you put out there sort of helps them make that decision. But I wanted to talk about my funnel because at the beginning, especially with my agency, we were on social media, but we had a very small audience of about 1,800 on Instagram. We didn't run any ads. We relied on like word of mouth and referrals. Whereas now for my coaching business, everything comes inbound. But, some people say 1% of your audience will buy. And I, look, when people zig, I look to zag and find various ways as a writer to essentially get through and be able to warm up those leads. So what is it in essence that I'm doing all day long? So if we want to keep it simple, I've tried everything from YouTube to TikTok to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything at the beginning. And it was sort of like spraying and praying. And I realized instead of spraying and praying, I wanted to double down on one platform that fit my needs and was energetically aligned with what I wanted to do. And that platform for me was LinkedIn. As a writer, I sort of just chose it, or it was the one that was getting the most reach at the time. So then I stopped posting on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and like literally stopped everywhere and doubled down on the platform that was reaping the most rewards. So number one was picking that platform and doubling down. And I did that for a year before I, introduced automation and all of that to get people through the door from other platforms. And to this day, about 90% of my leads come from LinkedIn because it's my platform of choice. Now, all I'm doing is simply redistributing to other platforms, but the lead flow comes primarily from there. The other thing I do is, as an email marketer by background from the agency, I love writing emails. So number two was getting people from a social media platform into my email list. And one regret I have is not starting to push out emails sooner, because I have a 42,000 audience on LinkedIn and about 3,300 on my email list. But I only started emailing them when I was about 1,500 or 2,000 subscribers. And that was where true monetization happened. So coming in from a platform that I'm renting into a platform that I own, right? So the audience is owned, and I would be making offers on email. So now I've got two places, right? Where on LinkedIn, it was getting the audience warmed up, getting them to understand my philosophy, my beliefs, and my values, continuing to nurture them via email and making customer to client offers. So customer offers were small, low ticket products for workshops, for other digital products, where client offers were sort of long-term engagements where I work with a client one-on-one or in a group setting. Now, doing that served me really well for some time. And then I was going, okay, if 1% of people buy, how can I get them to buy again? Or how can I get 2% of my crowd to buy? So I introduced YouTube into the mix, but not from a growth perspective. Like, I've only got, a few 100,000 subscribers. I'm not optimizing my thumbnails or the titles or any of that. You can probably see from this video, it's just shot on an iPhone with a little DJI mic. But essentially what I was doing is bringing people from LinkedIn into email, and then on email for a long period of time, I used to send them to unlisted YouTube videos. Now I've made them all public. You can check them out. But essentially my 300 followers have about 120 hours of watch time. Now that creates bingeability, right? So when somebody's coming in from text, it was much harder to show colors, show who you are, warm them up. I had to do thousands of LinkedIn posts and hundreds of emails, right, to warm somebody from being completely cold, just opting into my list, into warm and then hot. Whereas with YouTube, I'm showing another dimension where people can binge those ideas. And what I was doing essentially was, using Loom at the beginning, really raw and unedited, but I was expanding on principles or posts or emails that did really well, so I could show exactly what I'm thinking and how I'm doing it. And for a long period of time, I was just reading out emails or posts on LinkedIn that did well and gave another perspective in there. So that's something that you can think about when you've got your funnel. And I call this the no-flow funnel. Why is it the no-flow? Because I get to know you on LinkedIn, I get to know you a little bit better on email, and then I get to fully know you when I binge some YouTube content. So it could be linear or it could be triangular. So I also share my YouTube videos as comments on LinkedIn or inside a post, and I get my audience straight to YouTube, or I funnel them into my email list and then warm them up with some more YouTube videos. And what happens is I would get people, and it still fascinates me to this day. They're like, I know everything about you. You sound like this. I believe in that thing that you said. And we share that value or philosophy that you spoke about. And that's without me having to put in any outbound work. But that's also thinking of myself as a creative or a creator who enjoys the writing and the creation process. So I'm putting in a lot more time into that creation and allowing somebody to spend more time with me multi-platform. So I hope this no-flow funnel gives you some ideas on what you can do. And, as a little word of advice that I've always told myself, it's not the amount of likes that matter, it's who is liking it. Because I've noticed, I've got very small audience on my email list and even smaller YouTube audience. But sometimes I might have a video that has one like that has then become a conversion, because they'll come into the programmer when we start working together. They would say that was the video that did the trick, or that was the email that made me pull the trigger. So there's your no-flow funnel for you and something to consider. If you enjoyed this, you can have a look at some other videos or subscribe to my email list. I'll drop it down in the comments below, and look forward to seeing you later. Power to you.